When you think of the roaring 20s and the dirty 30s, you probably imagine gangsters in sharp suits, driving shiny black cars and carrying a suspiciously large violin case. Spoiler alert, that wasn't for music lessons. Let's talk about the weapons that made these mobsters feared, famous, and occasionally full of holes. First up, the celebrity of gangster firepower, the Thompson submachine gun, or as Hollywood loves to call it, the Tommy gun. Designed in 1919, chambered in .45 ACP, and capable of spitting out up to 800 rounds per minute, this beauty could turn a quiet speakeasy into Swiss cheese in seconds. Why did gangsters love it? Simple: intimidation. Nothing says pay your protection money quite like pulling a drum magazine the size of a dinner plate out of your coat. Sure, it weighed as much as a sack of bricks and jammed more often than your cousin's saxophone, but hey, it looked good in the papers, and that's what mattered. The Thompson submachine gun was never meant for gangsters. No, it was designed in 1919 by a guy named John T. Thompson, who thought it would be the future of military firepower. The problem? World War I ended before he could sell it to the Army. So what do you do when the US government doesn't want your shiny new machine gun? You sell it to whoever does. Police, security guards, and, oh yes, mobsters with very deep pockets. By the 1920s, the Tommy gun became the ultimate gangster accessory. Forget Rolex watches. This was the real status symbol. And while the cops struggled with slow revolvers, mobsters showed up to shootouts with 100-round drum magazines. Fair fight? Not even close.
Of course, not every problem called for a gun the size of a small violin case. Sometimes you needed something a bit more personal. Enter the Colt M1911. Adopted by the U.S. military in, you guessed it, 1911, this pistol fired the same .45 ACP rounds as the Tommy gun, but came in a much smaller, jacket pocket-friendly package. 7 rounds, reliable, powerful, and easy to hide. Gangsters loved it because it could finish an argument in one sentence, or one bullet. And unlike the shotgun or Tommy gun, it didn't require a chiropractor appointment after carrying it all day. Now, the Colt M1911 wasn't born in the back alleys of Chicago. It came straight from the U.S. Army. Designed by John Browning in, you guessed it, 1911, it quickly became the standard issue sidearm for American soldiers. And if there's one thing gangsters were good at, it was recognizing quality. 7 rounds of .45 ACP in a slim, reliable frame. Soldiers carried it into battle, and mobsters carried it into speakeasies. It was small enough to tuck into a jacket, but powerful enough to make someone think twice about crossing you. And unlike the Tommy gun, you didn't need a violin case to carry it around.
Now here's the working man's gun, the Smith Wesson Model 10 revolver. Born in 1899, chambered in .38 Special and carrying 6 rounds. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't flashy, but it was cheap, reliable, and just about every mobster and cup had one. Think of it as the Ford Model T of handguns. Not the most powerful, not the most glamorous, but it got the job done. And when you're shaking down a shop owner for protection money, sometimes all you need is the reassuring click of a revolver's hammer. Here's a true classic. The Smith & Wesson Model 10 rolled off production lines in 1899, and by the 1920s it was everywhere. Cops, soldiers, civilians, and yes, mobsters. Why? Because it was cheap, reliable, and easy to find. Chambered in .38 Special, it wasn't the most powerful gun in the world, but it got the job done. Think of it as the working-class hero of handguns. Gangsters liked it because you could pick one up almost anywhere, and if you had to toss it in the river after a job, no problem. There were always plenty more where that came from. Now, if the Tommy gun was the flashy Hollywood star, the sawed-off shotgun was the shady back alley bouncer. By hacking off the barrels, gangsters created a weapon that was devastating at close range and, conveniently, could fit under a trench coat. Loaded with 12-gauge shells, it didn't care much about accuracy. Who needs precision when you can basically erase an entire doorway with one shot? Subtle? Absolutely not. Effective? You bet your last bottle of bootleg whiskey it was. The shotgun itself was old news. Farmers and soldiers had been using them since the 1800s, but gangsters? They made it stylishly illegal. All it took was hacksaw, couple of minutes, and boom! You had a weapon perfect for close-range chaos. Cutting the barrel short made it easier to hide under a coat, and it spread buckshot like confetti at a wedding. Subtle? Absolutely not. But when you wanted to send a message, loud, messy, and terrifying, this was the way to do it. The police hated it, the newspapers loved it, and gangsters, they adored the shock value. And finally, the most ironic gangster weapon of them all, the baseball bat. A symbol of America's favorite pastime turned into a symbol of mobster brutality. No bullets, no magazines, just pure intimidation and the sound of wood meeting bone. It was quiet, effective, and let's be honest, pretty theatrical. If you walked into a warehouse and saw a mob boss leaning on a bat, you knew it wasn't batting practice. It was business. And if you were unlucky, well, let's just say you became the ball. And now, the weapon that technically isn't even a weapon, the good old American baseball bat. Invented for sport in the mid-1800s, it was supposed to be about hitting home runs, not heads. But mobsters loved it for two reasons: silence and style. No gunshots to attract police, no need for ammo. Just wood, muscle, and a very clear message. It became so iconic that Hollywood practically made it a cliché. The mob boss with a bat walking toward a terrified guy in a warehouse. Spoiler alert, nobody was playing baseball that night. So there you have it. The Tommy gun that wasn't supposed to be a gangster's toy, the sawed-off shotgun that turned farming tools into fear machines, the Colt M1911 that moved from the battlefield to the back room, the trusty Smith Wesson revolver that everyone had, and the baseball bat, proof you don't always need bullets to beat terrifying. In the end, these weapons weren't just tools of violence, they became symbols of an entire era of crime, power, and infamy.